This is the disruption part I'm talking about, is you can make these businesses economic, profitable, really profitable. So if that's what blows your skirt up, you can do that and look after the environment. It's not an and or. The world's changing.
I feel like you've really just cracked a cog in my brain then as well. Like, I was like, wait, mate, I have thought it's always been an and or.
Plastic. Plastic, plastic, plastic. We've loved the synthetically made byproduct of crude oil and natural gas to death. And because we know that
it never breaks down, never ever goes away.
And we just keep producing new virgin plastic nurdles, it's now wreaking havoc on our natural world. Then why don't we just recycle it?
Plastic recycling is a tough one because it's hard to make money off it.
But never fear! This couple in regional South Australia are trying to change the narrative.
Act Loco!
This is Brad and Narelle Scott of Transmutation. They're making waste great again. Now they're working with big dog brands like Country Road and Dulux. Ever heard of them? But before we get into how they built this impressive client list, let's start at the start of the Transmutation journey.
We driven out of Brisbane in 2017 with a caravan. I took Brad onto the road.
I was quite happy actually on the road. We were looking after motels and pubs and just working as we went.
And then 18 months later, I was talking him off the road. Now, in order to get him off the road, because he didn't want to, I suggested he buy a shed and do something with a chemistry degree he'd never used.
So I love my chemistry, so traditionally, you know, people like me would stop and do a gin distillery or something. I've seen Dave Hackins on YouTube with these precious plastics.
So we started developing the tools to recycle plastic and sharing them open source online for free, so everyone in the world can start recycling the plastic.
Really motivated by that. I just thought that's simple. You can make the machines yourself. You can recycle plastic. I understood the chemistry of it as well, which was good. I came home a bit like Jack and the Beanstalk. Figured out what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a small plastic recycling factory. And I guess that's good, dear. Whatever.
They were away. First acting as a shop front for other micro recyclers, their business model shifted after 2 months of opening.
That a lady walked in our door 2 months after we opened up, and she had a box of bread tags. And the bread tags was 45 kilograms, and she said I collect them from Adelaide and around Australia. I send them to South Africa because that's where the charity, they'd sell their plastic to the manufacturers, and that's how they fund wheelchairs for the needy. Her and her friends would collect them in Adelaide and they'd cash them in here to a manufacturer, and of course they couldn't find anybody who'd take them.
So without that charity doing what they do, I couldn't build a small business around that recycling.
So what does Transmutation do with the metric shit ton of bread tags that get delivered every month? Make these bloody epic bowls. To make these funky bowls, Brad uses techniques he originally learnt from the Precious Plastics YouTube channel. I'm not even going to try, I'll let Brad explain what he uses to mould each bowl.
Domestic oven turned on its side. So car jack, rewired everything, just an old Makita toolbox. I've just used that as an electrical box basically. You got heat and you got pressure, you can mould plastic. That's an old oven from the caravan park, got donated to me. We don't spend much on machinery down this end obviously. You need welding gloves for this bit, because obviously they're quite hot. So an actual customer, when they were looking at my machinery in their early days, he's looked at it, wasn't saying anything, and then at the end of it, he goes, why don't you just do double stack and do two at once? And I looked at him and go, that's brilliant. So I'm glad he visited my shop early. Fume from actual moulding plastic is quite low, especially in a ventilated space. So people think the fume from that's the dangerous part, where it's actually your sand and your fine sand and dust. Pull that out, I'll show you if you want. The whole workshop doesn't function without this chisel. Seal basically. Yeah. Comes out nice and easy. 95, 94, so I do a selection of 5. It's a way over-engineered piece of packaging. Your bread, you need it for 5 days, 10 days, or whatever. And this thing's still 30 years later, and its whole purpose in life was to hold that loaf of bread together for 10 days. So when people say they don't like cardboard, I don't care. It's better.
Brad and Narelle were doing something right with these bread tag bowls because it caught the attention of their first big corporate fish, Country Road.
I'm a bit of a skeptic of corporations, but they need to be absolutely part of the change. I've just finished reading Climate Capitalism. People who say capitalism's to blame for everything, and that is true, who want to change the system, what are you going to change it to? Climate capitalism is basically saying you need to disrupt capitalism and use it in a different way, but it's got to be the system that changes stuff, because it's the one that sort of...
What's the big boy? You change that, then everything else should follow.
That's right. So how do you make that system work for you, if you like, and change the whole thing around as quickly as possible? And it's that disruption that we're sort of looking at doing. As the early adapters get into it and start going for it, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because once that starts, then you get the more, and eventually it's the dinosaurs at the end who come lagging, but that's how all of these things change. So the early adapters, Country Road, and they didn't have a good reputation 10 years ago. They are becoming one of the leaders in this, you know, especially in fashion, a big source of waste in the world, and we're the homewares division, so straight away they're looking at us as, you know, recycled plastics and what we can do.
See, there's dollar bills to be made from recycling, but Brad and Narelle haven't stopped there. They continue to innovate with their use of polystyrene.
So there's about 540 councils in Australia, only about 40 of them would have a thermodensifier. Every bloody council in Australia just goes and buys that machine from 20 to 40 grand, cheapest chips for a council. They can then take the styrofoam and thermodensify it, which means...
So if you can imagine roughly 3 kgs of this stuff put through a machine, and 1 brick is formed.
That blew my head. That's great.
So even if you just go and bury that, at least you're not burying 3 big cages full of bloody plastic, you know what I mean? So, but if you get it to that form, then you can sell it to China. They will make coat hangers or picture frames or whatever, or...
The councils are making money then.
Exactly. Out of the 40 that do it, they have a market for their stuff. We are a market for it as well. So we Mount Gambier have one of these machines, Mount Gambier Council. We get it off them, we make our bowls. It was the styro bowl, which was my idea to scale, and that's failed in a certain for scaling. Because it's just a plastic bowl and looks that way, if you don't get the story behind it, it's hard for people to see it and buy it online and do that sort of thing.
With innovation comes investment. This came for Transmutation in the form of an injection moulding machine.
So I've got my handmade stuff back there with the bread tags. Then when we went into the styro bowl, I needed to injection mould the styrofoam that I've recycled. So you can get it done, obviously contract manufacturing, but I thought if I get the machine myself, then I can do all of my R&D and everything here in one spot. So big commercial investment, but now we've made it, we're very happy, because it's also led on to the stuff we're doing with the Dulux stuff as well. Dulux, again, an industry or a producer of stuff that's not that environmentally friendly, especially wet paint, but with the powder coating product, it's more environmentally friendly from the application side, but from the manufacturing side there is an issue. So with that waste that they had produced there, they're saying, okay, we're sending it to landfill, can we do anything else with it? And they've been trying for quite a while, and they've had universities look at it, and it's a worldwide problem for all powder coating producers. So people have been trying to figure it out, and we just got lucky that we figured it out first, I think.
I'm not trying to squeeze the kernel out of his 11 secret herbs and spices or anything like that, but can we do a kind of a caveman sort of explanation of like, this is the product, the powder coating product, we melt it maybe? I mean, take it away. I don't, like, what can you tell us, what can't you tell us without having to murder me after this video?
The product that we make is a recyclable plastic, so we can recycle it again, which is great. We're getting certifications done for it now. We're also getting provenance done on it as well, so we can track it and trace it and show you where it comes from, which is really important as well. So it ticks all the ESG boxes. I'm taking the powder coating, and why that is hard to recycle. It's a thermoset plastic, it's in a powder form. Both of those things make it hard to recycle commercially. Sure. And I'm mixing it with other recycled plastics.
11 secret herbs and spices.
Yep, and we're coming up with our polymer. I'm calling it post-prime plastic. For lovers of alliteration, yep. It's a polymer that can be recycled again, uses a fair bit of the Dulux waste in its inception and ingredients, and we can tweak it for different applications as well, which is the really exciting thing about what we're doing. We're able to look at the plastics that currently exist, and if we know what's already in them, additive-wise, then you can use that because it's already in there. So it's knowing about the chemical makeup of some of these products. Yeah. Not inventing any new tech, I'm just putting things together in a different way, I think.
That's cool.
What do you think, sir?
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, good one, Cam.
No, I'm not making any bones about how big I want this to be. We've made that decision, so why not convert as much waste plastic into new stuff as we possibly can. So we've got people now coming in and wanting to back that process because we have proved that we can do it. Trying to figure out where we were in the marketplace as well. What do we do? Do we make stuff out of bread tags? Do we, do stuff out of Dulux? We're not. We're problem solvers. That's what we do. So basically, you give us a problem, a type of plastic that you have that you want to figure out something, and we've been able to take it, make it into something that can go back into a market and then actually sell it back into a market. So that's been a big failure of a lot of these sorts of recycled businesses as well. If you don't find a market for your product, it fails. And it's not a circular economy until you sell it to someone. So that's where we've been quite successful in all of those aspects. So we vertically integrated ourselves right the way through the supply chain on a small scale. And now we've got to figure out where we fit in a scale sort of business.
Amazingly, Brad and Narelle from Transmutation aren't gatekeeping their successes. Instead, they're providing avenues for other micro-recyclers to succeed with the
Australian Micro Recyclers Association.
Anyone up to about $5 million revenue, so it's a fairly big, most small business, is a micro recycler. We're saying anywhere in that field. Most of our members at the moment are plastic, but it can be metal, it can be textiles, it can be organics. We will help you if you want to join AMRA and start a micro recycling business. We will help you do that. We'll take down the barriers to entry and give you tips and help you. And this is where you get your machines. This is where you get your molds from. This is how you do this.
This is a massive one for me. I love the idea of doing all this stuff and knowing it's still not going to step on each other's toes.
For example, any corporation, but let's take Dulux specifically because we've had this discussion. If they're getting materials that they're waste, their buckets, for example, materials at the moment, they've got a scheme where they'll make those into trays and stuff or whatever. You go to a big manufacturer and you say, I want to run 1,000 of these items or 2,000 or whatever, and they go, okay, is that it? You know, and then not interested, and you've got to find a smaller one or whatever. So there's very limited scope out there for when you want to do, and the tools are quite expensive, you know what I mean? So to make those sorts of lower numbers and runs and corporate gifts and whatever, we can take a corporation's waste and I can assign a project, if you like, to one of our members, and for them,
Now we're talking.
that's their business model for the year.
Bang.
And I've just provided them with a business model for their small business.
Yeah.
And I've also just come up with a solution for the corporation, and it's joining those dots and putting that together. If you're getting told no, that you can't do something, I think that's where we come in. People say you're passionate about recycling. I don't think it's a passion. I actually just think it makes sense. Like it's just it's sort of a no-brainer, and I'm constantly surprised why other people don't think that way. Why would you trash your planet? You know, why do we do the single-use consumer stuff that we do? When you think about that, it's stupid. You know what I mean? And then, so to me, it just seems like common sense more, but it's not. Not enough people are sort of doing it. So I don't think it's a passion. I just think it's sort of, okay, why wouldn't you do that? So
Exciting moment to be in, man.
yeah, it's very good. Yeah, we are excited about it because it's a step up. It's all the things about making, you know, a small startup into a bigger business. It's all of those things. And it's the charity and the bread tags, and it's the, you know, guy in a shed, and it's the mum and dad business, and it's regional Australia doing something. I mean, it's all those things wrapped up into one. So it's great. We're pretty excited about it.
I don't want to say, what do you say to the haters? But you mean, like, what do you say? If someone starts throwing excuses at you, like, I couldn't do that because
you don't have to say, this is it. You don't have to say anything. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm doing what I'm considering world first type of stuff. It's disrupting the industry. And we're making money out of it, and it's a good, successful small business. It forms part of tourism for our place here. It's got big brands like the Dulux and the Country Roads. It'll have more of the early adapters really interested in what we're doing. To say that you can't make money out of recycling, you can't do stuff in the regions, you can't manufacture in Australia and make money, all of these things that you get told you can't, I mean, line them up, you know.
I love their story of success so much. There's no longer any excuses to go and be successful as a recycler from pretty much anywhere in Australia. If you know another local legend doing cool shit to protect the natural world, comment their name down below. I'll go have a chat to them. Bye.